even in its formation. We know the issues that were there with the formation of IEBC, and many say that IEBC is a negotiated commission by political parties, you know, because we know at some point even Kalonzo Musyoka had to go to court to stop the entire process because of one Kokimuli, because there was issue with that. Now we come forward to IEBC during this campaign period. You look at people, violence during campaigns, IEBC is quiet, you know. You look at communication even in voter registration, IEBC is quiet. It's only the last minute after a lot of hue and cry that it finally sanctioned 2 candidates, and they paid a fine and signed on the dotted line that they would uphold peace. But if you look at elections security, you look at elections, ballot papers, printing, and everything around it, and one would say it is a litmus test on what is to come in 2027. Are we looking at it in terms of, if we don't do it right now, 2027 will be 10 times worse, Dr.
In fact, just before Dr. comes in, there were issues, even the former chair, Wafula Chebukati, if you look at the interview process, etc., and he's a man I knew personally. I think Chebukati was, second last in the interviews, but then he catapulted to become the chairman. If you look at even Ethacon now, there's many allegations and perceptions that his only loyalty is to His Excellency the President. Wow, that's how independent is that?
Yeah, I think if we don't act, and I think we are too late, because this should have happened, like in the Kasipul case where there was violence, people have died in Kasipul,
yes.
They've died. The least that IEBC should have done is to even cancel the by-elections in Kasipul so that they can show people that violence is not acceptable in this time and age. What's happening right now is just an iceberg. I mean, the biggest thing will happen in 2027. And we are trying to see this because there are two teams. The opposition, United Opposition, looks like it is well prepared for elections. And the people of Kenya, I think they have all gone to the United Opposition. And in each of these by-elections, you see a fight between a member of the United Opposition and the government. We start from Kisii. There is Matiang'i, who is a member of the United Opposition. There are 3 by-elections in Nyamira. One of them is in the home ward of Fred Matiang'i, where he comes from. So the stakes are so high. If you go to Mbeere, it's in the Mount Kenya region, and we know that Rigathi Gachagua has declared himself as the kingpin of the Mount Kenya region. So the stakes are very high in Mount Kenya, there in Mbeere, and whatever the outcome, I think these are sure that 2027 will not be a walk in the park in Kenya. There'll be chaos. There will be all manner of people trying to show their muscle in the elections. But let me put it this way: that IEBC, their credibility is at test as we speak right now. And from the early signs, we see that the chairman is a gatekeeper for UDA, is a gatekeeper for the president, whatever party he'll be for, and he needs to distance himself from that, because that kind of connotation doesn't augur very well with the people of Kenya when you are seen to be siding with government. Because right now, I don't know what the president is ever going to do to have the Kenyan people on his side. I know he has the state machinery. He will want to push himself, shove himself down the throats of Kenyans. But as Benja said, you can be president, but president of who?
Yeah, and you talk about state machinery, Dr. Benji, and we've seen how state machinery has been used during the campaign period. You know, you look at cabinet secretaries who, are, as per the law, ought not to be campaigning for individuals because they are state officials. But we saw that happen, and IEBC as well quiet on that. And you look at the muscle that the government is flexing on the citizens of the country, and one would just ask, at what point then does the law not become a suggestion, but it is a requirement, it is a tenet that each and every single individual ought to respect, and IEBC ought to equally ensure that everyone plays by the rules?
Dennis, it is very tough to to mainstream a culture of constitutionalism when the violations or the violators of the Constitution, for example, we've talked about CSs, are people at the highest echelons of society. A CS flies a flag on their car, you and I don't. So it's always very unfortunate, but I don't mean to sit here and just kind of be an attack dog against the president or the government, but to be fair, the president did not believe in this constitution. To be fair, he led a campaign. You know, the people often forget, and sometimes Senator Mtata surprises me because he's a very dedicated soldier for the defense of the constitution. But Okiya Mtata, who I worked with in the civil society, was against the constitution. They felt that the constitution was too liberal, too progressive, too sophisticated. The president is kind of a hands-on leader. He wants to be able to pick his deputy, dismiss his deputy if they don't get along, get a CS to do his bidding, and what have you. And so, I'm sorry to say, but the constitutional tenets are kind of an inconvenience. They're annoying. And to be fair, once again, Uhuru was the same way. It's only that Uhuru's more of a nice guy, you know, but Uhuru didn't care about court orders. Uhuru didn't care about the constitution. And so what we need is very serious political hygiene and constitutional discipline. And kind of that's not there. But you and I can only sit here and talk about it. I think AG Justin Muturi's book has more details on the hiring process in public service. A file comes, you open the file, it has no KCSE certificate. You peruse the file, it has no university degree. For the appropriate, when you call and ask, you're told this is what State House wants. When you talk about things like tribalism, that so-and-so doesn't have these, but Nimkale, Nimsapere, you know, those kinds of things. It is on you and I to continue to advocate for Article 3.1 of the Constitution of Kenya, which gives you, Dennis, the locus standi to stand, promote, defend. I don't know if you're a lawyer, Daktari.
No, I'm not.
The Constitution of Kenya.
Understand.
Article 3.1.
Yes.
It is on yourself
Yes, sure.
and her and the producer
To defend,
promote,
and uphold.
and uphold